But you ready to get into some controversy, my friend?
Let's do it.
All right. Let me explain the problem with Snow White. There's been some turmoil lately. Big turmoil in the world of Snow White, my friend. And I got to tell you, it does not seem to be going well for Disney, especially. So there's a lot of issues that happen with Snow White, the new movie that's coming out right now. Let's talk about it. I'm going to explain it to you guys a little bit. I'm going to explain it to you guys a little bit, but let's get into it. So right now, Rachel Zegler, you might remember her from the new West Side Story with Steven Spielberg that came out a couple of years ago, and a couple other things. I think she was most recently in Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, and she was cast in Snow White with Gal Gadot playing the evil queen. And then you have it's no longer the 7 dwarves anymore. It's the 7 people, I guess. I don't even know what they are. Like there's not even like it was just like 7 random people walking in a line. Like
that is another controversy for the movie. Is like Peter Dinklage is like, why not cast us in this movie? Like we're here. This is a perfect role for the little people to be in, and now you guys are not gonna include us. Like,
oh no, fuck Peter Dinklage on that one if he's saying that now, because if you remember a year ago, that man came out talking about, because they had just talked about the what do you call it? The what's his name? The Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, and they said that they had cast Rachel Zegler as Snow White, and that was catching some backlash about her race because Snow White is supposed to be white or whatever stupid shit is. Same shit that happened with Little Mermaid.
Yeah, if the person can play the role, they can sing, and the race isn't important. Like, who cares? I don't care.
Seriously, dude. Seriously, it's kind of a point where it's like you're just literally arguing to argue. Like you want to fight this just so we listen. We have to listen to you. You know, it's like the person who grabs the megahorn from somebody or the bullhorn or somebody and is like, all right, I'm going to talk now. And it's like, but like, it's the end and everybody's like, nah, I'm good. Like, you know, it's just like that person. It's like, let it go. We're good. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Just go home.
It might have been Peter Dinklage. I read the article really fast, but I know
that's fair. But no, Peter Dinklage did come out and he caused a controversy about a year ago after she was catching controversy of her own after being cast and it's still coming up to this day and I'm quoting here, because she's not white, and I guess some racists want Snow White to be white. I here's the thing that bugs me. I love the original Snow White movie. I saw that in theaters in 84, 85. I absolutely love that movie. I think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It's great animation. The story behind it's great. It helped kick off animation as we knew it in movies and TV and pushing forward. So it's hard to hate that movie. It's also a fairy tale, and it's not a bad fairy tale. It's a pretty good story and the way they told it. And there's really nothing controversial about this. And the way they're playing it off, and I'm talking both sides, it is so childish and ridiculous. I mean, the fact that grown men because it really is grown men, or it's basically women that look like men, are complaining quite a bit. That's right, I said it, and I'll say it again. Drink your Miller Lights, be mad at Bud Lights, and be mad at Snow White, and just shut the fuck up. So if you're mad because Snow White is played by a woman who is not Caucasian, you're an asshole. So that's out of the way. Now let's get to the rest of this controversy, and where Peter Dinklage comes out and says that, literally, no offense to anything, but I sort of was taken aback. We're very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, but you're telling the story of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. And this is on the Mark Maron What the Fuck podcast. And he goes, have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. And I get what he was saying, saying in a sense, it was like, do we really need to have these parts? Like, do we really need to be casting for dwarves? Like, does this have to be this thing? Like, why does it have to be Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs? And I get what he was saying. And I don't think it should be held against him, because he was on a podcast and he was talking freely with another celebrity hosting. And it was a topic that came up, and in that moment he had a thought. So a lot of people are crapping on him because he said something a year or so ago, and the same people who bitch and moan about, like, well, don't cancel me because something I did years ago. No, I wouldn't want you to do that now, would I? So stuff like that. And I know I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry, but it is Let Me Micksplain, Jason. So I'm explaining the Snow White controversy too. No, but so a lot of people came out. So when you did finally see the 7 not dwarves in it, it was like an eclectic group of people, it raised some eyebrows, pissed some people off, because now it's like, well, you're changing too much. You're changing my Snow White too much. People who never cared about the cartoon until just now, just putting it on for their kids or something, like so they can go smoke weed or something. But for the most part, like they were getting upset about it. And then of course Rachel Zegler comes out. And she has to put in her 2 cents. And I get it. You got a lot of people coming at you, especially racists, coming at you about, being a Latina actor, which she's half Polish and she's half Colombian. So I don't really know just everybody just fucking nitpicks. But they're calling them like this, like the 7 companions or the 7 sidekicks or something like that now. So just to show like it's a different type of movie. And she came out and she had said, this isn't 1937. Women don't need creepy men to come stalking them and try and save them. And this is women, she's the one that's going to kick ass. And I get it. And I love movies like that. I love Frozen, where you don't need a love interest. I love Tangled, where Flynn's a love interest, but she's completely capable of taking care of herself, and he softens and she, I can go on about that movie all day long, but like we're seeing, Tiana from The Princess and the Frog, another capable woman who steps out and doesn't need a man, but falls in love, by connection. And there's a connection through it. It's a great love story. So to see this and to see something like that being said, and a artwork like the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, which she couldn't be more wrong, because literally he's not a creepy prince. He's not even on screen long enough to be called creepy. There's not enough character development about the prince in the original movie to be called creepy. And if anything, the dwarves are the creepy ones in that movie. And next up, he only kisses her because he is told specifically, true love's kiss, your kiss will wake her up. He doesn't want to do it because he thinks she's dead. When he's told that, he goes and kisses her and she wakes up. And yet still it's called creepy. It's called this, it's called that. Like there's no forgiveness. It's tearing apart an artwork from back in the day to propel yourself. Like, to me, 86, like I don't need you in Hollywood if that's who you're going to be. I know you're young and stupid, but like maybe you need to come up a little bit more. Maybe you don't deserve to be the lead in this stuff if this is how it's going to be treated. I just don't believe in tearing down artwork to build yours up.
And as better artwork, you can go tear down, go discuss Song of the South, why people leave Snow White alone.
Why can't we just tear down the fucking terrible Snow White movie with Kristen Stewart? and also, it's not 1937 anymore. But yeah, they already remade Snow White a few times with more with female Snow White characters who were more badass and more portrayed as more badass, and not someone who ultimately becomes the damsel in distress. So you're not even original. Take your live action Dumbo and go to hell, Bob Iger, with your bullshit. You can bring Rachel Zegler with you.
I love the live action Dumbo.
I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was as good. I like that one. That's one of my favorites, though.
I watch it from a different angle, I think, because I see it as a movie where Tim Burton is literally just making fun of Disney through the entire thing, because it's about a corporation absorbing the small circuses. So it's like Tim Burton made a movie about Disney by Disney, and on that level, I really enjoy the irony.
Fair, very fair. All right, well, for you, and hearing all this controversy, and you've been reading up on it, and what is something like you take away from it that like, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about hearing about this and like where it went?
People don't know where to complain. Like with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, everybody's mad that they're not dwarfs playing the Oompa Loompas. It's like, where do you guys want when is it okay and when is it not okay? One. And then two, actresses just need to stop talking, or actors too. Just because she's made other comments, like Shazam 2, she said she only took for the paycheck. It's like, don't be biting the hands that feed you with these studios. You're not Jenna Ortega, who also shouldn't be making the comments she makes, but you're not her. Like, she has some clout to stand on still, even though she's made some stupid comments. Right? Your career is going to be thin if you keep doing stuff like this. Let the movie come out. Let the movie speak for itself and promote it when it comes out, and let us go see it. Because I know a lot of people shut up when they saw The Little Mermaid. I've heard nothing but rave reviews about her performance as Ariel. So just let the movie speak for itself.
Yeah, I saw that movie, and I don't know. I kind of disagree with you.
Did you like her though?
She was fine. Like, again, it wasn't a matter of race or look or anything like that. And she had a beautiful voice. So like, but remember, half the movie she doesn't have a voice. So it's like,
Okay, that's
it's
fair.
like, I want to hear this thing, and like, but all right, I'm gonna be completely honest though. I'm not a huge fan of the original Little Mermaid. So watching this one, it wasn't like I was tied to like this nostalgic feeling of like, oh, it's Little Mermaid, and like either I hate it because I love the original, or I'm into it because it's an homage to the original. None of it really resonated with me because like the original just wasn't like one that I really enjoyed. Not that I disliked it. It's a great movie, great music and whatnot, but it's kind of like whatever. Like when all that controversy came about. Now, I never heard Haley Bailey, I think her name is, who starred in that movie. I never heard her come out and say anything of the sorts in terms of that original movie was made in the 90s and it wasn't very pro women, or like talking about it, like making some statement. I heard her come out and talk about the movie and how excited she is to play it. And like, and I heard when questions were asked, this cast was like, dude, like, who cares? Like, he's a crab, or he's a fish, or she's a mermaid. Like, who gives a shit? Like, and I think that's the perfect way to handle that. That's the way to stamp it out. But your movie's got to be good too. I just didn't think it was that great, but that's just me. But the performances were pretty good. I really like them.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't come out and diss a Disney movie while you're about to make a Disney movie. Like, I am all for taking the CEOs down a notch, but you also need to think about where you're working. Like, I'm not going to insult this previous film that millions of people love for no reason. Like, just make your movie and let it speak for itself. Talk about how you're a fan.
And Radar, I agree with you. They are magical creatures. You're right, for the most part. Like, it's all a magical world, so it really doesn't matter. But and what you say here, he said, and Peter Dinklage saying it was backwards to cast little people, and I don't know that I see you're just quoting him. Like, I'm not saying this to you, but I don't know that I agree with that. Now, I'm not a little person. I can't speak on it, and like I can't speak to the struggles that he's been through and such. But like, I do know people who identify are physically. That's who they are, and they have said to me, like, jobs are jobs. Like, we like the jobs because there's not an overabundance, and now, if we're going to point fingers and say, well, this movie shouldn't have little people in it, or I'm trying to find the right term. So dwarves or little people I'm going to use. So dwarves in the movie, should we go back and I'm not agreeing with this, and it's not real questioning for anybody listening, but should we go back and look at Willow? Should we go back and look at Wizard of Oz? Should we go back and look at all these movies, and if they get remade, say, no, we can't have the Munchkin? What the fuck do you do with the Munchkins? Where do you go with that?
Yeah, no, it's silly, because it was Wee Man from Jackass that came out and said, look, I know a lot of out of work little people actors that could really use these roles. Like, why are we... It was him that was upset about it. And Radar says it in the comments that a lot of little actors are very upset about not having the chance to be cast in these roles. And I agree. Like, they deserve to work too. And I get it. Peter Dinklage was in X-Men Days of Future Past, and he played a character that nobody referenced as little. And that is great. It's fantastic. But, some of these roles are there, and some people want to have them.
Yeah. And congratulations to you. But, because I think there's so many people that suffer that, like, where there's a typecasting and there's things that happening. And he broke past that, and I think Game of Thrones is a big push on that, where we see this man, we don't see his height. His height means nothing to us. His performance is what stands out. And yeah, I'm not saying that we should see people for only their physical attributes, but we also have to remember that we do see physical attributes. So it does come into play when casting things like that. Now, I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or whatever. This isn't a fight for how this, what the moral, magnitude of it all is. But for me, it's if it's a job that has a chance to hire little people or dwarves actors, what are you doing? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm 6'8". If there was a role out there and they were like 6'8" or more, and like I show up and there's like 5'7" people there, like, what the fuck, man? Why do you need all that height? Why are we dealing with this? Now, I grant that that's a very out there and an exaggerated way to put it, but I'd still be pissed. Like, there's still going to be a piss. Like, that's a job that I could be doing in a career field that I want to get into, that you're succeeding in, and now telling people not to hire me. Comes back, hits you in the head. hits you in the face pretty hard. So Chris Harris says it's a kid's story. Make her fucking green. I don't care. It's the color doesn't matter, but she does need to shut up a bit. It's like you can't just keep talking. And that's not a woman needs to shut up. That's not a man needs to shut up. That's not has nothing to do with gender, none, this, that, or the other thing. But like you were cast in a movie. You were cast in a huge movie. And this is really only your third or fourth movie. Your first movie was a Steven Spielberg movie. I don't know her whole story, but is there struggle there? Like, can we talk about this? Like, because that's like an overnight sensation, in my opinion. And I remember everybody bitching that she wasn't invited to the Academy Awards, even though she's not in the Academy because her first fucking movie was Steven Spielberg movie like 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm not saying you can't have opinions. I'm not saying you can't say what you're saying, but you're speaking out of your ass. It doesn't make any sense. Like you're not saying things that are really resonating or hitting home or driving points home or making like really any impact at all.
Holy shit, man. Like she made West Side Story. She made Shazam. She's got Hunger Games coming out very soon. Snow White, Paddington 3. Like she has got a great lineup. Like just make your movies because and no offense, I don't know what you've done, but you've had a lucky start in Hollywood. Like that is a crazy run. That's all studio films, nothing independent.
All studio films, and it's all from like the start. Really, it's all from the start. Right. Like that's what's. And again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have opinions. I'm not even saying you can't have opinions and come out and say it classily. Talk to Gal Gadot or talk to your PR and just be like, how should I put this? Just be like, just honestly in this situation, say, I'm incredibly humbled to be playing Snow White, such an iconic character. And honestly, we're going to change things up because 2023 is a lot different than 1937. And the movie, although fantastic, we don't want to tell the same thing over again. We want to do something a little bit different. I think Snow White's going to be a little more powerful, Snow White's going to be a little more powerful, a little more badass, and I'm looking forward to playing that role. And the prince is going to be a little bit different too. And he's going to, you're going to see a different dynamic. And I think that's great character development. Boom, right there. You wouldn't have pissed anybody fucking off and everybody would have been right there. Should be a PR rep.
He should be.
I'm going to go by the name Steve
Combiner.
Pointer. Steve Pointer. And I'm going to be
good job. And that's a great name.
Gives a shit. Nobody listens to the show except for good people. Except for good people. I'm saying that now. Not monsters who threaten my family. And children of all things. Can we fight those assholes? Can we stop fighting Rachel Zegler? Anyway, I went off a little craziness. We did. That's Let Me Micksplain It to you. Hopefully, you had a good time. This is the second time I'm doing it. First time I'm doing it with somebody. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to talk about it a bit. I know I overtalked a little bit, but I want to say thank you so much for joining in tonight, Jason.
I love it, man. I'm here every time. I love that you gave me Sturdy. Like you introduced Sturdy and I didn't know honestly how it was going to work out. We did the review of Waterworld. That went okay. And then the show, man, we really like connect. So I have really dug working with Sturdy.
Listen, there is one thing I know I'm good at. And I'm not saying that bragging or boasting. I'm saying that because I know that was like the thing, especially in filmmaking. Like I was good. I knew when somebody was good at something specific or people were good working together. And when I saw you and Sturdy on a show together, I was like, that's cool. These guys are going to work well together. So I'm glad you guys get to do Scary Snobs, which I appreciate. I'm glad you get to do your shows, which is 3 Geeks Podcast and Matt Talk. And I'm I appreciate you being my friend, man. We've been friends for like 4 years now. And, it's always fun to hang out with you and talk. Hopefully you sign up for more so that way you can be a guest co-host again. I'd love to have you back on. But yeah, you're the man. Thank you so much for joining in. And I just always appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it too. And my dad was like, can you get some friends to help move? I'm like, all my friends live out of state now. Like all my friends are online now for the most part. So yeah, no, I appreciate our friendship too, man. It's been a great couple of years for sure.
But I'm going to let you go. And then we're going to get on to our last segment. And I'm going to say goodnight. And I'm going to reveal the winner of Mick's Movie Picks the year. So let's get into it. Thank you, Jason. And I will talk to you probably fairly soon. Take care, buddy.
Bye, guys.